Yo, legends, Benchmark Bets is back, and we're locked in with 3 NBA picks. So buckle up, I've done the homework, let's hit these and stack some wins. Alright, so quick little recap on the last video. NBA Cup games straight up have been killing us. Scoring dried up, defense went through the roof. De'Aaron Fox over 23.5 points got close, but Castle dominated the Lakers, killing any shot at the over. And also Grayson Allen over 14.5 points, had 10 by the third before being ejected. Another near miss, but that won't stop. Our daily player props were built for this. So with the first pick, I've got Miles Bridges over 22.5 points, and here is why. So soft matchup versus the Bulls. Bridges feasts near the basket, and also in spot-up shooting, transition plays, and as a primary ball handler. The Bulls rank the second most for points near the rim, 9th from spot-up shooting, and also 9th to primary ball handlers. Similar players versus the Bulls have gone over their line in 6 out of the last 7 times. Also, the Bulls have the second highest pace, giving Miles Bridges more opportunity to score those points. Also, LaMelo Ball is not playing in this game, and Bridges' usage rate goes up from 24.6% to 26.7%. The Hornets love the ball in Bridges' hands, so Miles Bridges over 22.5 points is play number 1. And for the second pick, I am going to the Pacers and the 76ers game, and I'm looking at Joel Embiid over 21.5 points, and here is why. So Embiid loves to score his points near the basket from free throws and also from pick and roll or pick and roll plays. The Pacers leak the 4th amount of most points under the rim, the 2nd most to free throws, the 3rd most to pick and roll plays, and also he loves to score from post up, which they give up the 6th most points to. He also gets 30% of his points from mid-range shots, and they allow the 3rd most points to this area. Historically, Embiid owns the Pacers. However, tomorrow he is projected to play 25 plus minutes, and when he's played over 25 minutes, he is over this line 100% of the time with an average of 35.7 points. So Embiid over 21.5 points is play number 2. And for the 3rd and final pick, I am looking at the Warriors versus the Wolves game, and I'm going with Jimmy Butler over 18.5 points. And here is why. Bulls. Butler mainly scores from free throws, transition plays, and also from pick and roll ball handler plays. The Wolves give up the 9th most points to free throws, 8th most to transition, and also the most points to primary ball handlers. Over his last 15 games, he is over this line in 9 out of 15 games with an average of 18.6 points per game. Tomorrow he is projected for 32 minutes, so when he does play 29 minutes, he is over this line in 14 of the last 17 games, averaging 22.1 points, and in his last 15, he's over this line in 12 out of 15 with an average 21.5 points. So Jimmy Butler over 18.5 points is play number 3. However, that's not the end of the video. We've got some leans to break down. So let's look at the first game, the Wizards versus the Cavs. Nothing really stands out to me here. You could look at like Evan Mobley or Garland or Mitchell to score some points. They all have pretty soft matchups. I'm just not too sure who's going to score the points, so I sort of left that alone. Whereas compared to the Wizards, nothing I'm really liking here. Yeah, nothing really stands out. So let's look at the Bulls and Hornets game. We already talked about Bridges, but another lean I do have is Kobe White over 22.5 points. The Hornets leak threes. They give up the 5th most threes. And White also loves to score from... Sorry, let me start that again. So White scores most of his points from the 3-point line and from near the basket, where the Hornets give up the 5th most points to threes and the 7th most to under the basket. However, he does score a lot of his points from transition plays and being the primary ball handler, where the Hornets don't give up as much. But LaMelo's not playing, so I'm not too sure how this one is exactly in a stack. They might defend him better or double team him or whatever. But he did score 25 points against them last time, so not too sure. I do lean the over, but I'll have to look at some footage to see how White scored these points against the Hornets last time. So yeah, that's that for Kobe White. And there was nothing else I really liked in this game. So the next game, the Hawks versus the Pistons, did have 2 leans here. First lean being, when I can find him, Jalen Johnson over 43.5 points, rebounds and assists. In his last 5 games, he has been playing very well, even in his last 15, but mainly it's his last 5, going over in 8 out of the last 15 games with an average of 45.3. But mainly you're looking at his last 5 where he's just been absolutely dominating, averaging 54.6. He loves to score from transition and from free throws, where the Pistons give up the 6th most to transition and the most free throws. However, he does score a lot of his points under the basket, and they give up the 3rd least points there. So I feel like this line is high just because of the last 5 games, and this line is sort of where it needs to be. I do lean on the over, but not 100% confident in this one. And the second play I have here is Cade Cunningham over 15.5 rebounds and assists. Against the Hawks, he is over this line both times, exactly getting 16. However, they do allow the 4th most rebounds and assists to his position and the 8th most rebounds to his position as well. So something you could pivot to is his over 6.5 rebounds. Hasn't been the best, but I'm expecting Duran to be able to box out Onyeka. So Cunningham should be able to get those rebounds. I don't think that changes. I think that's just how their gameplay is. They like to have Cunningham with the ball quickly so he can score in transition pretty fast. So again, another lean of mine, more confident than the Jalen Johnson PRA. So let's look at the next game, the Sixers versus the Pacers. I already have Embiid in this one, but I also like 2 other leans. Maxey over 3.5 rebounds. So he's over this line in 16 out of the last 23 games, averaging 4.7 rebounds. Also similar players to versus the Pacers have gone over in 10 out of the last 15. So that looks good. They also give up the 4th most rebounds to his position. However, not too sure how Embiid and Paul George impact his rebounds. More sample size. He has gone over in both, but they could just be outliers. Yeah, so that again, another lean. I would have to look at footage again to see how he gets those rebounds when Embiid and George are playing. And with the other lean I'm liking is Pascal Siakam over 24.5 points. They do give up the 7th most points to transition plays and also the 8th most to under the basket, where he scores 50% of his points. However, the Sixers' pace is not the best, so I don't see him having as many opportunities, and also depends if they get blown out or not. Not too sure if Siakam plays. I do lean the over, but this line is pretty much spot on with where it should be. They also have 2 other players in Mathurin and Nemhard who can score the ball better as well. So maybe Siakam as a alts line play would be pretty good here. Over 20 points, better hit rate. You could pair that with, I don't know, Matherin for like 15 if it gives good odds. But yeah, 2 good hit rates for those. I can definitely see those 2 cashing, but just over 24.5 points, not too sure about. Then let's look at the next game. The Jazz and the Grizzlies. And nothing really here. Nothing stood out. I was sort of looking at Cam Spencer's threes, 1.5. He does shoot the 3 pretty well. Not obviously in his last game, but recently he's been doing pretty well. They do give up the 3rd most 3-point attempts, and he also scores. And also they do allow the most points from 3, so it could be a good one. Just depends on how many minutes he plays, especially with Ja Morant coming back. I think his minutes do reduce, but not too sure. He is projected to have 18, but I reckon it'll be maybe 14 minutes. So actually, let's look at games where he has played 14 minutes. Doesn't really change much there. Let's go 14 to 18 minutes. Oh, that's a pretty good hit rate. I'd have to look at where he's scoring his 3 from and what sort of position he's in, if he's uncontested or if it's against contention. But I don't think he'll get teamed on much here. I reckon they'll just let him shoot the 3. So this one could be another lean as well. Nothing from the Pacers on my end. Nothing really stands out. I was looking at Nurkic rebounds, but not too sure how that's going to go. They don't give up many rebounds anyway, so slight lean. Next game, the Nets versus the Mavericks. Anthony Davis, over 22.5 points. This was a pretty strong lean for me. Nets leak heaps of points under the basket. They give up the 4th most points, where Davis scores 60% of his points from. Definitely strong lean for this one. Expecting Davis to be involved in 80% of the scoring. Should take at least 15 to 20 shots. So yeah, just have to look at some footage to see how the Nets give up points under the basket. The only thing is, it's just minutes restriction for Davis. I'm not too sure if he's fully expected to play the exact amount of minutes, but in games where he's played 25 plus minutes for this season, he's over this line in 5 out of the last 8. So yeah, could be a pretty good one. And finally, the last game of the day, Warriors versus the Wolves. And I was looking at Quinton Post over 8.5 points. In games without Green, he's over this in 4 out of the last 5 times. He is definitely projected to play 20 minutes. So let's look at games where he's played 18 plus, and he's over this line every single time with an average of 14.8. Again, would have to look at how he scores his points. It says here that he scores 43% of his points from above the break, which the Wolves give up the 4th least points, but might change with Green out. He might be scoring a lot more points under the basket, which would be a much different story. So yeah, that's pretty much it for all of my leans for today, Legends. If you're loving the content, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and drop your favorite play in the comments. Stay safe. Good luck with your bets, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.